On today's episode of Short Storytime TV, author Sally Huss is going to be reading Little Baby Bobby, a book that she wrote and illustrated, and I know you're going to love the brightly colored pictures. Have fun!
This is a story called Little Baby Bobby Goes to the Zoo, and it's a part of a series I'm doing called The Importance of. And this one is The Importance of Understanding No, because a lot of children don't get that, and parents don't enforce it. So here's the cover, and I'll read you this little story. Little baby Bobby, along with his brother and sister, Adam and Melissa, piled into the car with their dog Sam. With their mother at the wheel, they headed for the zoo. The zoo, the zoo, we're going to the zoo, screamed the two older children. Little baby Bobby gurgled and Sam barked. It was their favorite thing to do, to go to the zoo. As they parked the car, Mrs. Stevens had her hands full trying to keep track of everyone. She put little baby Bobby in his stroller. As the other two skipped ahead, we're going to the zoo, we're going to the zoo. It's our favorite thing to do, go to the zoo, they sang. It was the only thing they agreed on. Once inside the zoo, Mrs. Stevens had her hands even fuller. Adam and Melissa dashed back and forth from one exhibit to the next, neither child wanting to see the same exhibit at the same time. Sam stayed with little baby Bobby as Mrs. Stevens ran after the other two. From the hippo exhibit to the gorilla's cage, from the porcupines to the giraffes, from the snakes to the wildebeests, Mrs. Stevens scrambled to keep track of Adam and Melissa. Little baby Bobby and Sam, on the other hand, stayed in one place, enjoying the otters and their cousins, the seals. Back and forth the otters swam, back and forth Mrs. Stevens ran. Eventually, she gathered them together for lunch, but lunch was no different. While Melissa ran to one line for pizza, Adam ran to another for tacos. Little baby Bobby had what he always had, a bottle of soy milk, and Sam had a nap. At last they sat together and had lunch under an umbrella near the lion cage. For a brief moment, Mrs. Stevens rested. Then she was off again, chasing Adam and Melissa from one dessert counter to another. Ice cream, cookies, Cracker Jack, cotton candy. It was about this time that it happened. A skinny little boy who had been standing next to a sign that read, "No feeding the animals," had leaned through the bars of the lion enclosure to feed the lion and had slipped through, landing at the feet of the lion. The crowd gasped, his mother screamed, his father yelled, "Help, help!" and the lion roared. Little baby Bobby and Sam heard the cry and took action immediately. Little baby Bobby slipped from his stroller onto Sam's back, and off they flew. Little baby Bobby was like every other baby in every way except for one. He was strong, super strong. Sam dropped little baby Bobby at the fence of the lion enclosure, and with hardly any effort at all, little baby Bobby parted the steel bars and crawled into the compound. The crowd gasped some more. The mother screamed louder, and the father yelled, "Help, help, help!" And the lion roared again as he licked his chops. He had finished the peanuts the boy had originally offered him, and now he was ready for the main course. He held the skinny boy in his grasp and opened his mouth. That's when little baby Bobby reached the lion's tail. He grabbed the tail and yanked it with all his might, which was a mighty amount. The lion flipped in the air, hurtling the little boy back over the fence, back into the arms of his parents. The crowd sighed, the parents cried, and the lion rubbed his backside. Then little baby Bobby slipped back through the fence, carefully closing it on his way out, and climbed on Sam. They both looked up at the sign above their heads and thought, signs are there for a reason. They are meant to be followed. Then they went on their way. Did you see that baby? Someone asked. How did he do that? Wondered another. He was so strong. He deserves a medal. Where did he go? People looked around, but all that could be seen was a portion of a baby's diaper and a dog's tail as little baby Bobby and Sam made their way through the crowd and back to the luncheon area. Yes, by the time officials started looking for the baby and the dog that had saved the little boy, they were nowhere to be found. Radio and television reporters and camera crews arrived. But none of this meant anything to little baby Bobby or Sam. What meant something to them was that little baby Bobby's mother. Where have you two been? Cried Mrs. Stevens. You were supposed to stay right here, she scolded. You weren't supposed to go wandering off and getting lost. Little baby Bobby loved his mother just as she loved him. She couldn't resist giving him a little kiss as she picked him up and put him back in his stroller. He coo-cooed and gurgled. Sam barked, and the other two children argued over what they wanted to drink. I want Pepsi, demanded Melissa. No, I want Coke, said her brother. We'll all have lemonade, said Mrs. Stevens as she pushed the stroller down the lane toward the lemonade stand. Little baby Bobby and Sam smiled at each other. They were sorry to have upset her, but they knew that what they did was good. After all, every child counts, and kids are just too valuable to lose. Little baby Bobby understood that even his mother knew that. So I have, this is the end, but not the end of paying attention to the word no. That's the story of little baby Bobby.